Welcome everyone to the Nonprofit Bistro live webinar session today here at noon. Great to have all of you here. My name is Scott Vaughn. Working with me behind the scenes as we do some of the things that you'll hear about a little later is Shanna Shaw-Tuzzi, Karen Blewett, Debbie Hagman, Sherry Hansen, and Dwayne Van Bavel. We are all with the Community Development Unit of Alberta Culture and Status of Women. Our guest speaker today is Heather Nickel, also with us, and I'll introduce her in just a few minutes. The goal of all of our webinars is for board members of nonprofit organizations to have the knowledge, skills, and tools to be successful in their work. On the screen, you can see some of the other governance-related webinars that we offer, and you can see the details of the sessions, and you can register for them through the link in the chat box, albertacdu.eventbrite.com. Please invite your friends and colleagues and individuals in your community to check out our Eventbrite page. And Shanna is going to have that link in the chat box. You've probably even seen the link too as we've been starting in the chat box before we even started as well. But also with us too, and we're quite excited, is our Nonprofit Bistro webinars, which you're a part of today for the winter 2022 season. And this is putting theory to practice. And you can see the webinars that are bold in the list are currently open for registration. So you may want to take to join us in one of those webinars as well. We record all of our Nonprofit Bistro series webinars, so please go to our CDU YouTube channel to find the recordings. Be sure to subscribe to be notified of the new recordings as they become available. Right now, I'd like to take a moment to recognize that we are on the traditional ancestral homeland of many diverse people of Alberta, the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit, whose ancestors have walked and stewarded this land since time immemorial. We recognize our role as settlers on the land, and we're grateful to work, live, and learn on this traditional territory. We are located all across Alberta and acknowledge the land of many peoples presently associated with Treaties 6, 7, and 8. And this includes the Métis settlements and the 6 regions of the Métis Nations of Alberta. We make this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation and gratitude. As I mentioned before, we are with the Community Development Unit of Alberta Culture and Status of Women. Our unit provides support for nonprofit and community organizations, as well as public sector organizations in Alberta in various areas. If you need more information about our services, you can go to our website or give us a call or send us an email to receive more information. And all of that information, as Shannon has just put into the chat box as well. So definitely take note of that, and you may want to contact us in some other ways, as well as even the webinar today. We're also using automatic live captions for this session. So if you want to enable it, please hover your mouse over the bottom of the Zoom screen, click on the closed caption button, and then click where it says show subtitle. If you're connected by a smartphone or an iPad to access the captions, please, there's a tap on the more button and then tap on view full transcript. We also have a chat box feature, for your comments, observations, and questions for today, but please keep in mind that it's a public chat box intended for attaining your feedback, presenting information, teaching, and learning related to the topic area. So please provide your thoughts and comments with that consideration. And there's also a toolkit with some helpful resources, and the slides from today's session that we'll share with you today, as you can see, has also been put right into the toolkit as well. Thank you, Shannon. And one final thing to mention is I want to mention that it's the information presented today and the related materials are not intended to constitute legal advice or professional advice. We simply want to share with you information that we think will be helpful as you navigate your organization through its operations. So I am now very excited on behalf of the Community Development Unit to introduce our third Nonprofit Bistro session, Create Your Own Vision Statement. Have you ever wanted to make a vision statement and just didn't know where to start? Do you know why your organization needs a vision statement? What is a vision statement and how do you create it? Today we're going to answer all those questions, at least examine and explore it, and demonstrate how to build and create a vision statement. So to help us navigate this topic, we are once again working with our colleague in the community development, Heather Nickel. And Heather Nickel has delivered facilitation, consultation, community engagement, and training services to social profit organizations and government entities since 2003. She's a University of Alberta graduate, has extensive leadership background and specializes in recreation. And Heather, and I can definitely attest to this, is passionate about communities, people, and the voluntary sector, and volunteers with local organizations which involve her children. Most days, Heather is physically located in St. Paul. Over to you, Heather. Can't wait to help us out today. So over to you. Take it from there.
Step one, you got to remember to unmute. So hello, everybody. Give me half a sec, and I'm just going to switch screens. There we go. Okay, thank you, Scott. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. So we're going to start this webinar with a big question. I'm introducing you to this question now so you can start thinking about it. We are coming back to this question in about 10 slides or so. And I'm curious, why do you volunteer? What compels you to serve your organization and or community? What is your why for contributing your time and energy to your organization? Why do you volunteer? The purpose of this question is to prime your thinking for later. We are using the responses to help our thinking when we get to a scenario towards the end of the session. So this is what we're covering today. In the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to talk about why vision statements are needed and the importance to nonprofit organization. We'll do our best to define what is a vision statement, and we'll also show you all the elements of what goes into a vision statement. I do have a few coworkers joining me today. We're going to demonstrate the processes used in creating a vision statement as well. Once the demo is done, we'll review the steps used to create vision statements and wrap up our time together with an opportunity for you to ask questions. So for the purpose of this session today, I've made a couple of assumptions. I am assuming that you're here today, that you're, excuse me, associated with a nonprofit organization or similar. I'm assuming that you're interested and willing to attempt to create a vision statement for your organization on your own. The tools and questions can be adapted to your particular situation, and vision statements can be created either in person with your group around the table or virtually as well. And please know that there's no concrete right or wrong way to get to a vision statement. So let's get started. Okay, so for a little context, vision statements are part of what we call foundational statements. Foundational statements build the base or foundation of a strategic plan. And ideally, nonprofit organizations build their organization from these statements. And in the world, according to Heather Nickel, foundation statements include three pieces. They include vision statements, they include mission statements, they include value statements. And there's significant difference between the three. So for my friends out there that have worked with me before, they really know that I like all things water related. And I really like boats. So I have an analogy to tell you about the difference between those three statements. So over here, we have a vision. Vision statements are future focused. They describe what the organization wants to be or achieve. A vision statement tells us the direction or organization that the organization is choosing to head towards. In other words, if we're all in one boat together, we don't know what kind of boat we're in, our vision statement is the direction we're choosing to point our boat in. Mission statements describe the purpose or business we are in. It describes how we're achieving our vision. Mission statements describe how we're moving forward towards that vision. They tell us if we get a paddle or a motor for our boat. And value statements are a little harder to describe. Values are infused throughout the organization. Values tend to fuel the movement of the organization. They're kind of like the heartbeat or a sweaty volunteer that's put a lot of time and energy, but they fuel give us some fuel to our motor or power for our paddle. So why vision statements? Vision statements are key pieces in strategic planning. They help us describe something for your organization to strive towards. Ideally, a vision statement is a compelling description of the desired future your organization is striving towards, or that ideal state that might exist if your organization were to achieve total success in everything it does. The vision is usually 1 or 2 sentences that contain the results you want to have in 10, 15, 20 or more years, the key word being results. A vision inspires the people of the organization to stretch and to achieve their highest potential as an organization. A good vision statement captures the spirit of the organization and it gets people's attention. They can be challenging and compelling and still being perceived as achievable and realistic. Vision statements should be motivating and inspiring, and they're also indicators of success. They serve as a guide to the organization. They tell us the overall purpose and what the ultimate goal is. And in other words, they also tell us what we want to be when we grow up. Vision statements describe something we're striving towards. Ideally, everything we do within the organization should be helping our organization take steps towards achieving its vision. Vision statements have a few identifiers. There's an external focus. It articulates that ideal future. They tell us what the organization is trying to achieve. They can have quite a large scope. Your vision may describe a future or outcome that is much more than what your organization can achieve on its own. A vision focuses on the future. It describes the work in 10 or more years. It describes where the organization is going. It serves as a guide and articulates the organization's overall purpose, its ultimate goal. And finally, a vision is very clear. The best vision statements are free from jargon and buzzwords. They're very easily understood and they do create a picture. They kind of, when you find one and it's good, you'll know. Vision statements are big picture, they're long-term. So let's take a look at what makes a good vision statement. Good vision statements are clear, specific, realistic. They state the intended accomplishments or outcomes. They're not in details like strategies or activities. They are easy to be read and understood. They consistently align with the organization's values, philosophies, and behaviors. And a good vision statement answers questions like, what is a preferred future? Where do we want to be when we grow up? What do we want to create or become or achieve? What are we working towards? And we'll get to even some more questions soon. Vision statements are not a detailed plan. They do not provide precise directions, instructions, or details. A vision is not in the present time. They do not describe the organization as it is now. They are in the future. It describes what the organization wants to become. We have a couple of sample vision statements up there for you just to have a reference. Our community champions literacy and embraces lifelong learning. Our county is a desirable community where we live and do business. We have safer communities by working together in crime prevention. So just a few examples for you to refer to. Okay, getting to the questions. When developing your own vision statement, you need to have a conversation about the future of your organization. So find some team members and start with a couple of questions like this. It's helpful to have a couple of good, solid questions. These are 3 questions I use quite regularly and they work quite well. Long-term, what does success look like for your organization? In 20 years, what's different because of the work of the organization? Why does your organization exist? What are we trying to achieve here? What's the whole point of us doing this work? And as a reminder, there's no right or wrong way to get to a vision. Open the conversation with one question, add another question if folks are struggling. You don't need to ask all the questions that we have listed here. So we're going back to the big question. Why do you volunteer? So please take a moment and answer the question in the chat box. What compels you to serve your organization and your community? I'm going to stop for a minute and open up the chat box just to see what you guys are going to write. I see a few coming in. Thank you for those. So I see connect with the community. Oh, they're getting it in nice and fast now. Because people and relationships enrich me. Helping others helps me to give back to the world that has been special to me. Giving back to the community. Love it. Respond to your calling and purpose. Because I believe in the organization. Fantastic. Make a positive impact. To leave a legacy. Passionate about the cause, building relationships, helping make a difference. Excellent. I knew we had something in common. The vulnerable need a strong voice. These are fantastic. Thank you. Keep those coming in. Giving back, making the community better, helping people fulfill their dreams. Love it. This is why visions are so powerful. I get excited. When one sticks, you'll know. So let's keep going, but keep those coming in because those are fantastic. And we're going to kind of refer to those in a minute as well. So every time I facilitate a visioning conversation, the process I use generally stays the same. However, each conversation is very, very, very different. There's no one right or wrong way to create a vision. So the process that we're using today is really generally there's 4 steps. So one is really ask the big, broad descriptive, long-term questions. And then write them down so we can all see them. Seek clarity and identify common themes. So you need to check to make sure you all understand what's written there. And then pick out the big ideas and the big words, right? What do all these ideas have in common? What are those big ideas that cover a lot of the little ideas? And what are we really working to achieve here? And then it's kind of, you just start letting it stick and write. So get someone to draft, get a couple of you, all of you, to start writing, right? Throw in some kind of sentence. And then share and modify and edit and rewrite and repeat until something really resonates with you and your organization. And then at the end, number 4 is audit, right? Is your statement, is it aspirational? Does it inspire you? Is it motivating? Is it clear? Is it future focused? So we are going to take you through an example, and I need your help, and I need you guys all to play along. So for the next 15 minutes or so, please imagine that we all belong to the Alberta Volunteer Club. At the Alberta Volunteer Club, we know that we regularly contribute many hours volunteering in the province. We all have training, we all have experience in all those things that are important to our role. We're very wise and knowledgeable in what we need to know. We know things about the safety. We know things about governance and policies and procedures and communicating and functions. etc. We are located throughout Alberta, and most importantly, we're all passionate volunteers. We need to figure out what a successful future looks like for our club. So start thinking about what our super awesome, wonderful Alberta Volunteer Club looks like in 20 years. Collectively, what are we trying to achieve? Why is volunteering in Alberta a fantastic experience? So participation requires a bit of an imagination and a bit of just, let's go with it. We're going to trust the process and see what we can create together. So folks, please participate, and you can add your comments and thoughts and responses into the chat box. And I'll give you a minute here again, just to put your 2 cents in right about now. And the question is, long-term, big picture, what does success look like for our Alberta Volunteer Club? Okay. I'll let you guys think about that for a minute. We'll come back to that in a moment. So the magic of creating your own vision statement really comes from that conversation. It comes from being able to answer the question. And it also comes from that struggle to describe your ideal future and attempting to articulate what you're trying to achieve. So I do have some of my friends with me online today. We're going to attempt to show the evolution and struggle of creating a vision statement. We are using a program called Mural. Mural is a digital workspace for visual collaboration. Lots of people can join in and collaborate. We can add sticky notes, we can add icons and comments and a lot more. I am going to show my screen, so you'll be able to see my friends and I attempt to model the creation of the vision statement. We don't have sufficient time to get all of you guys attending today to join and get comfortable using Mural right away. So you'll have to settle with watching, but please continue and contribute using the chat box as well. So I am going to switch slides here. Okay. So welcome to Mural. Mural is pretty wonderful. It's pretty fantastic. I did throw in a few images before we get to the example. I'll just give you a quick highlight and summary. I did throw in a couple of pieces so that when you guys get your toolkit in the strategic planning workbook, they do have 2 pages referring to vision. So I did put those in there so you could take a look at those. And okay, friends, I see you guys signing in here. So, and we did ask you guys as well, is why do you volunteer? What compels you to serve your organization and your community? So I see we have connect with community. Hopefully you guys can be able to read that. Connect with the community. Because people and relationships enrich me, helping others help me. Give back to the world that has been special to me. Give back to the community. Leave a legacy. I believe in the mission of this organization. Okay, lots there, good stuff. But let's get to our example here. Long-term, big picture. What does success look like for the Alberta Volunteer Club? In 20 years, what is different because of the Alberta Volunteer Club? So when I see, we got lots of quick responses. So thank you for filling those up and helping with some of these answers. I'll just go through them very quickly. I'll get some highlights. Happy, enthusiastic volunteers with loads of energy. People are seeking our programs. We have expanded services due to demand. We inspire and sustain volunteers in Alberta. Albertans volunteering, nudging and supporting and celebrated. Stronger communities, variety of opportunities. Awesome. We're making a difference. Diverse, committed individuals making a difference. Every community in Alberta has passionate, committed volunteers to help Albertans succeed. A strong volunteer network across Alberta to support sharing and learning. Volunteers are trained and available. We have the biggest volunteer club in the world. Love it. Equality, see all as one, picking each other up. We're building a future where all volunteers are placed in the community, or placed in communities. Okay, so really one of the steps is just go through them, make sure they're clear. So I'm assuming my friends online, they might be quiet here, but they will make sure that we all have a common understanding of what we see here. So friends online, maybe right here, kind of towards the themes, could you just kind of grab the ones that really resonate you, ones with really big ideas? And you know what, just click and grab them, and then we'll work off those ones. So long-term, big picture, what does success look like for the Alberta Volunteer Club? I'll give you a minute to read them. That's right. Okay, we got one big idea coming down. Thank you. A strong volunteer network across Alberta to support sharing and learning. Good idea. Is there one or two more that really resonate, kind of really big ideas? When I use the word big a lot, but it's really what covers a lot. What is implied by some of those loaded words as well? Okay, we have happy, enthusiastic volunteers with loads of energy. Love it. Thank you. Oh, we've got some doodling cards here. Looks great. Okay, perfect. So a couple, we got 4 cards there. Maybe that's a pretty good start. That'll do, yep. So we have strong volunteer network across Alberta to support sharing and learning. We have happy, enthusiastic volunteers with loads of energy in Alberta. Building stronger communities through volunteerism and connections. We have strong, healthy communities where volunteers feel valued and encouraged by their contributions. Albertans volunteer. Wouldn't it be nice if, you know what, there was too many volunteers for all our programs and services and things that we offer, right? People have to apply. We're so successful, people have to apply to volunteer. There's a wait list. That's my dream anyway, but I'm getting sidetracked. So I think this is good. Volunteers are engaged, enthusiastic about their volunteer gigs. And volunteers are trained and available. Fantastic. So those are covering a lot of ideas. But let's just see, and I'm hoping my friends online can start drafting a statement. And really, and you can take these dark green ones here, friends, and start typing and just throw some words out. It's kind of like cooking spaghetti with your kids for the first time and you do it to shock them, is that you cook your pasta and then you take one and throw it against the wall. When it sticks, it's cooked. And that's kind of what we're doing here, is let's just see what happens when we start throwing the ideas together. So while they're doing some thinking and writing, we're about here in the steps, is right. We're starting just to get something together. Ultimately, what are we trying to achieve here? We're just going to draft some statements and see if we can get something. So let's just give them a minute to write. If you're done writing, you can just unclick off it and then it shows up a little bit better on our screen. Beautiful. Okay, so from all these ideas here, we've got 2 statements written. Alberta is a recognized leader of the community volunteerism in the country. So big picture, long term, we could be recognized leaders of the community volunteerism in the country, right? Well, Alberta is known as a volunteer leader. Paints a pretty good picture. Albertans are inspired to volunteer and support their communities. I'm going to zoom these in so you guys can see them. Okay, volunteers are engaged and enthusiastic and proud members of the Alberta Volunteer Club, of course, for sure. Looks good. Okay. Friends, how are these sitting with you guys? I see a heart there. Okay, I see a few edits happening. We'll give you just one more minute to see how it goes. If any of my friends wanted to articulate verbally, that's okay. You can unmute and go do that as well. I see some typing, so we'll just let them work at it. And quite often, you know, you have kind of a couple rounds to this as well. So, you know, everybody writes one and then something really resonates and, you know, 2 are pretty good. And then you kind of do another round and narrow it down and massage a little more. But okay, I see them stop typing. So let's just see what we got here. Alberta volunteers are engaged and enthusiastic, creating strong communities. I like it. Albertans volunteer enthusiastically and effectively contribute to the world's greatest Alberta Volunteer Club, of course. Alberta is the recognized leader of the community volunteerism in the country. Albertans are inspired to volunteer and support their community. Painting a pretty good picture, hey? I like it. Hopefully you get a sense of how kind of the words come, and you just have to go with it, and you have to start typing and throwing stuff out there until something sticks. I see lots of ideas in the chat box too, so thank you for those as well. Respected, accepted, yeah, good words, you guys. Brilliant. Okay. My friends online, maybe before we switch screens while we're still in Mural, is that maybe could you put a little icon or a check mark or give a circle around the one of those 4 that really resonates with you for our imaginary Alberta Volunteer Club. With a couple of us online, is there one that really resonates as a draft vision statement? I see no movement, so I'm assuming they've left or they're catching up. Want to grab an icon? Okay, I see a check mark happening over here. I'll give you guys another 10 seconds to make something happen on the screen. So you can throw an icon or a check mark, or the hearts will do. Okay, so there we go. Perfect. Okay, and you can see them working. Debbie's typing there, so you can, she's been doing some thinking about this, we can tell. She'll probably be combining some ideas here or just re-articulating it as well. We'll give her a minute and then we'll move on. Okay, let's pause that. Thank you, my friends online. That was great. That's a lot of pressure. And once you start, it's kind of hard to stop doing it as well. Karen is doing another one here, and I bet you it's going to be great. So let's just quickly go through these. Yes. Good point. Thank you, Sherry, is that everyone should be also, right, if we were doing this together as a team. My friends online would be so silent. They're a little shy today, so they're not speaking up, but ideally, verbally talk through it as well. It's super helpful because that's when you get to bounce ideas. And then all of a sudden the great idea pops into your brain as well. So we have one vote here, it looks like, for Alberta volunteers are engaged, enthusiastic, creating strong communities. We got maybe a vote here, yep, Albertans volunteer enthusiastically and effectively contribute. And then, okay, these two definitely look like the top two for now. So being that recognized leader of the community volunteerism in the country and inspired, Albertans are inspired to volunteer and support their communities. So good job. Thank you, friends online. That's much appreciated. Let's switch screens and we're going to go back to our slides here. Hopefully that gives you a sense of what happens. So how did we do? You saw a big, broad, descriptive, long-term question, right? We asked about what does success look like with the Alberta Volunteer Club. I verbally tried to seek clarity and kind of identify some of those common themes, and my friends pulled some of those big ideas down. And then I just let them go to it, and they were to identify, and they started typing in draft statements, right? And they kind of looked at each other's, modified them, edited it. If I had a whole another couple minutes with them, they would have had something pretty good as well. I saw a few others still typing. And then we audit. How did we do with those last two statements? Were they aspirational? Were they inspiring, motivating, right? Leader in the country with volunteerism? Sounds like a good plan to me. Where is it clear? Definitely paints a clear picture, doesn't it? Is it future focused? Was for sure. So are you ready to sign up for with me with the Alberta Volunteer Club? Were you a little bit excited about the idea? Hopefully. Okay, and I see a few coming in. Recognized leader, thank you for that. Alberta volunteers are inspired, engaged, supporting their community. Brilliant. We will capture these too as well, and I'll make sure I get them down. Okay, we're almost through the content here. So again, there's no right or wrong way to create vision statements. If the process and questions demonstrated today don't work for you, don't sweat it. There's a lot of other processes out there that might suit your purposes. So with the other process, there's a magazine cover story process or a 5 whys process that works pretty good, that starts that conversation. So please look them up, read more about those processes. And as well, there's lots of resources. We have quite a bit out there now. So again, look at your strategic planning for nonprofit workbook. And of course, go back to our YouTube channel and take a look at the basic facilitation tools, as well as that organization purpose and planning webinar as well, because it all links kind of somewhere to vision statements as well. And that's it for me for content. Thank you for listening. Much appreciated. And I'm going to turn it back over to Scott.
Right. Thank you, Heather. But we're not done with Heather yet. So there's still going to be a Q&A piece that we're doing with the session before we leave. So you get a chance to ask a question of Heather and before we leave, because we're here till 1 o'clock. And if we'll see what the questions are, because I'm sure that'll help us even with some of the more learnings on creating your own vision statement. But certainly I do want to say on behalf of the community development unit and the participants, I'd like to thank you, Heather, for sharing your knowledge and experience with vision statements with us today. A lot of information and online, showing us an example of how online it could be done. I think that was really, really valuable for all of us moving forward. So thank you so much for that, Heather. That was just even taking the effort to have a demonstration of a tool that you can use to make it happen as well was fabulous. So super duper stuff. At this, I don't see a question yet, but I'm going to ask a question of Heather. I get this opportunity to do that. Who should be involved when you're putting a group together to write a vision statement? Who would you recommend, or who should be involved in the process of an organization?
Good question, Scott. Generally, of course, make it work for your organization as well, but generally, you need your board there. If you have a nonprofit, if you're working with a nonprofit board or a nonprofit organization, get your board in there. And really anybody that's a big picture, long term, if you can find someone good with words, thinks writing's easy, that's a good person too. But look around, see who's there and who can contribute, who has something to say, who cares about your organization, that has enough passion to look long term.
Okay. Here's a question I see that we have. Could the vision be changed later due to the status of the society change? It sounds like if you had a vision, but your society's status changed, how do you, again, even the whole idea of going around and changing your vision, what are some thoughts around that?
You can always make course corrections to your vision, right? But what is that ultimate goal? What is that endpoint that you're trying to achieve? Vision statements can be different than objects. So make a point in checking that out and making sure you know the difference. And phone Scott or any of the community development officers if you want more details of that difference between a vision and objects as well. But yes, vision statements can be revised and updated regularly.
Okay. All right. Question from Dean here. You said that a vision statement should be realistic. Can it be aspirational and possibly not achievable within a 10 to 20 year time frame?
Totally. Yes. That's the short version. Vision statements, yeah, they paint that picture of what that ultimate goal is, right? So if it's something big, like homelessness, right? A short example is everyone everywhere has a place to call home. If that's what our vision statement is, 10 years, 20 years, it's a really long-term goal, right? So you can take pieces of it to work on, but you're painting a picture for what you're trying to achieve. You're setting that direction. So yeah, aspirational for sure. Achievable is, comes down to semantics as well. Hopefully that helps.
The aspirational and inspirational too, just that why is that part so important in a vision statement? Just trying to connect some of the, maybe adding a thought there on that one.
Sherry's adding in the comments. Thank you, Sherry. And bigger than yourself, because vision should draw others to you, your funders, your supporters, your partners, your collaborators. Thank you, Sherry. Everyone, everywhere has a place to call home, right? That opens it up, right? What you do is a little bit different. Comes down to stay tuned for next week and we'll talk mission statements. So what you're chewing off could be your mission. I lost where I was going with Scott,
Yeah.
yeah,
Any other thoughts? Yeah, so
it could draw in, opens the door for partners and opportunities for others to share the vision as well. So yeah.
right. I guess that kind of goes to your point that it's, the vision, we start with a board, but then, the need might be the whole vision starts tying into the community. It starts being inspirational, aspirational to your whole community, and others start wanting to buy into it. And it needs to be something that people want to buy into. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Heather, you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
One from Amy. Do organizations sometimes confuse mission and vision statements?
All the time. All the time. Uh, and in the world, according to Heather Nickel, we're not going to worry about which is which very much, right? As long as you have one that's future focused, long term, that describes that end, call it whatever you want. It could be anything. And then something that you're going to chew off and describes your purpose will be mission. In my words, if you choose to call it something else, that's okay too.
Mm-hmm. Karen's, it's just some adding a thought to our conversation right now. I think visions can be a stretch goal of where we want to be ideally, and may end up that it takes a bit longer than 5 or 10 or 20 years, depending on what you set as an organization, as an organization of your desired future. So yeah, it might take a little longer, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. That I think it's sort of supporting some of the things that you said, Heather, and then we heard from some others as well. Yeah. Here's one from Elaine. Should you test the vision with funders and external stakeholders?
I want to know more by what you mean by test. Definitely a good vision statement will really resonate, and it can speak for itself because you're painting that picture, right, of the direction or that goal that you're trying to achieve. And yes, testing it is a good thing, right? Just to make sure that it's clear and is trying to tell you what what you intended by it as well.
Mm-hmm. Another question here. My understanding, vision is a dreaming goal to be achieved in the future, long or short. Mission is the duties we are doing now. Is that right? Does that kind of fit in there into the thinking?
Yeah, for my part, I would say, yeah, for sure. Vision, yeah, dreaming, endpoint, future. Mission is something, it says what you do, how you do it, where you're going, something you're chewing, right? What can we take on right now? So your business, your purpose as well. Come back next week. We'll get into mission statement.
Well, that might be just the segue into the next week part right now. Don't see any more questions in there. And as Heather mentioned, it doesn't end here today. We do have the mission statement coming up real soon, the webinar topic. I think that is February 4th. So that is the next one that Heather was mentioning, and certainly definitely would like to have, if you get an opportunity, please join us again for that one. We hope, again, all of our upcoming webinars you can see on the screen now. Any of these you can sign up for on our Eventbrite page. You can see the albertacdu.eventbrite.com. I'm pretty sure that we'll see it in the chat box coming up here real quick too. Definitely take a look at the webinars. You had an opportunity to attend hopefully some of our sessions in the past, or this one with Heather today. Again, we have the new nonprofit bistro series that's coming up. It's again putting theory to practice. You can see some of the other ones besides even the mission statement session coming up. So definitely would love to have you join us for some of these upcoming sessions that are part of the nonprofit bistro series as well. And if you have any question if you'd like to get a hold of us or contact us as part of the community development unit, there's all of our information to do so, the consult line, the email, through our website. You can go up to our YouTube channel. A lot of our training opportunities that are out there are available on the YouTube channel. Take a peek at those. You can also, there, of course, the registration link, the Eventbrite registration link that is always there. You can see the set of sessions that are available. They're free. They're an opportunity to sign up for them. Usually there's a 3 week in advance before registration is open, but you can see them all there in advance. So once again, I do want to say again, first of all, thank you, Heather, for leading us through the whole vision statement nonprofit bistro session today. That was wonderful. Again, thank you all of you that joined us to this lunch hour and participated in the session. And it was love to have you, love to have you with us. It was fabulous. Would love to have you come back with us again on another session. And I do want to say one thing on behalf of all of us. Thank you for volunteering out there in the community and making a difference. And again, because everything we have, the opportunities we all have are because people like you that take the time, that do go out there and volunteer. So thank you so much for doing that. That's it for today. Hopefully we'll see you again next time. And on behalf of all of us, bye for now.